Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Z Static. I'm Zach Sprinkle, registered yoga teacher. Today we're going to be going over building strength in Chaturanga, specifically the transition from plank into Chaturanga to upward facing dog into downward facing dog. It's a great strength builder. It's a great way to reset the spine in the middle of your flow. However, I notice a lot of cheats coming from my students, so today we're going to get into those cheats, how to correct them, and go over the proper form and build that strength. And as usual, anytime we're working on strength-based movements, we want to make sure we're warmed up. You wouldn't want to try this until about at least 10 minutes into your flow. Make sure the wrists, the elbows, the shoulders, and the spine are starting to get loosey-goosey. But here's what we're looking for. We find our high plank, shift the weight forward, lower down halfway, roll onto the tops of the feet, pull the chest through and up, tuck the toes, hips press back and up. Okay, let's talk about hand position in the plank for starters. We want to be maybe a little wider than shoulder width apart, but not too much. Whatever hand position is comfortable. For some of you, fingers forward is going to work great. For me, I have a lack of wrist mobility, so what's most comfortable for me is hands about at 45 degrees. It just works for me. It's more comfortable. I'm stronger that way. We want to externally rotate the biceps forward. Point them forward. That way, as we lower down, the elbows are going to stay hugged in tight to the body rather than flaring out like a military style push-up. All right, now let's break down Chaturanga. From our high plank, we shift forward so that the shoulders travel past the hands, keeping the arms straight. Then we lower down halfway. All right, now let's go over the cheats in Chaturanga. The two cheats that I see most often are number one, not shifting forward and just lowering down. While this isn't the end of the world, and if that's where you're at strength-wise, I get it, but the best way to correct this cheat is simply with a block. High plank. Shift the weight forward, lower down halfway. If you can keep from tipping the block over, you're on your way. Now, the transition from Chaturanga into upward facing dog. The cheat in this one, most of the time in the transition, is somebody lowers all the way down, rolls up. Remember, the only thing during this whole sequence that touch the floor is our hands and our feet. Another cheat that I find that's common in upward facing dog is inner spiraling at the thighs and letting the heels fall out to the sides. Now, whether your feet are spread apart, it looks like this, or if they're together, it looks like this. Either way, it shows lack of engagement of the legs. Me personally, I like to squeeze my heels together. I like the feet together in this one. If you spread them apart, keep them engaged. Heels should be pointing up towards the ceiling. Another cheat in upward facing dog is not properly engaging the scapula. We have to remember, once we roll through, we need to depress and retract the scapula, pulling the crown of the head as high up towards the ceiling as we can, isometrically pulling the palms and the hips closer together. And finally, we have the transition from upward facing dog into downward facing dog, being mindful the thighs never come in contact with the floor. From our upward facing dog, keeping the arms straight, straighten out the body, tuck the toes, push back. I hope this information was helpful. You know the drill. Any questions or comments, just leave them below. Until next time, namaste.